The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the members' best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the next episode of the Biweekly Grievance. I'm your host, Dan Arlin. This week we have a special guest, Matt Cavagratti, out of Air Operations in Knoxville, Tennessee. He is largely in part responsible for a big movement on fixing Article 40 in the contract.
First of all, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. It's my pleasure. My name is Matt Cavagratti. I am a part-time ramp agent at the UPS operation at McGee-Tyson Airport in Knoxville, Tennessee, and where I am also a shop steward and a proud member of Teamsters Local 519. So like you said, I have taken it upon myself here over the last year to really kind of lead the charge about getting this particular article overhauled. And Article 40, for those who don't know, that is the article of the contract that covers all the air workers at UPS. So that's like, part-time and full-time ramp and sort workers at airports, but also it covers all the air drivers and the air walkers who don't all work at the airports. Many of them work out of centers. The backstory is that it was written in 1987 during a time when UPS was trying to grow out its air operations really rapidly. And remain competitive with FedEx. So it was during a moment in just sort of the history of the American economy that like express delivery was becoming like a prominent thing for like the first time. And so UPS's argument was that in order to remain competitive, that they needed like exceptional flexibility in the way that they structured and ran their air operations.
Now, I know your efforts kind of ended up on the national level. You really tried to get locals across the country involved in the movement. Could you just explain a little bit how that worked out and how that came to be and your kind of organization on that part of it?
My focus was nationally right out the gate because I understood that was just going to be the only way that you were going to get this done was, if it was addressed in the master. And let me explain to people why that is the case. Probably the worst part of Article 40 is the preamble to Article 40, which says that it supersedes all supplements and riders. So anybody who works under Article 40, they don't even have the opportunity to win like a better arrangement for themselves in like their local area or in their region, just because Article 40 says like if you work under this, then that's that, and there's nothing to be done about it.
TDU on May 24th posted an article about this and about the struggles with Article 40. And they got into some pretty good details about the wages, the split wages, the overtime issue, like if they work a 6th day, there's no overtime versus like, ground drivers, if they work an extra day, it's all overtime. Could you get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of the particulars that you're looking to overhaul in the language?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about what's so messed up about it, because if I don't tell you that, then it's all just abstract. So I mentioned the preamble, and number one, the preamble has just got to go, because if we get absolutely nothing else accomplished but that, just that in and of itself would constitute a massive step forward, because then at least it would mean that, like somebody out there could win a better deal than what's in the master. And of course, that's what the supplements and the riders are for, is to tailor language specifically to like local and regional sets of conditions, because, it's a huge company and, one size doesn't fit all. And often what winds up happening is that, the supplements that kind of win the strongest language, they set the bar. People under Article 40, are not entitled to a 3-hour guarantee. Some of them have it. they have, because it does like give like a really convoluted procedure for like establishing one. So some air operations do have it, others do not. It puts them outside of like the number of hours that you have to work each year to get full service credit for like the pension too. And so like, for those people, they aren't even getting like full credit in the pension. And so like beyond that, as bad as it is for like workers at the airports who are really getting screwed are the air drivers. You've got some different classifications of air drivers. You've got, your part-time and your full-time air drivers, but then you've also got your combo air drivers. You've got your half in, half out air drivers. So the combo air drivers, they get two different rates of pay depending on like what job they are performing. Unlike 22-4s who make the same wage whether they're working inside or outside of the building.
The big issue in the contract for the part-timers, because they talk about how in the 80s the salary, the hourly wage they were getting paid, and just the mere fact if they just kept up with inflation alone would be up to $25 an hour.
Absolutely.
So for the part-timers to be kissing $15, $16 an hour, which to some people are like, well, that's not horrible. Well, the fun fact about that is that in a lot of states, you can go to work at McDonald's and gas stations for that money. And not to knock those employees, they all have their purpose and they all work very hard. But the brutality of the work at UPS, the physical nature of moving packages, the buildings don't have air conditioning, so they're sweat boxes. The mere working conditions don't justify the juice, as they say. You could easily go work at McDonald's and work a register and put food in a bag for the same amount of money, which is preposterous in a company our size. And the overall, and this is a good correlation between Article 40 air drivers and part-timers, their buying power has significantly gone down. Not even talking about actual dollars for dollars. The fact is that back in the 80s, some of these jobs were considered premier jobs. And, when people heard what UPSers, even part-timers, were making over people outside of UPS, they were like, wow, that's really incredible that you guys make that kind of money.
Right.
And so their buying power was up here. And then over the years, yes, they got pay raises, but didn't keep up with inflation. So their buying power has actually significantly gotten lower and effectively of making less money now than they were back then.
We have essentially failed to uphold the same standard that we had won for those individuals over the years. Their standard of living has gotten worse. We've done them an injustice. We've done part-timers injustice, and there's like over 100,000. We've also done it to the part-time and the full-time air drivers as well. And so, absolutely, this is stuff that needs to be addressed because we're supposed to be setting the standard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, that's what I pay the union to do, is to get me better than market rate. I feel like the company has to know that if push came to shove, that like the optics on this would look really bad, because on the one hand, I'm happy for drivers. Like, I'm not resentful. Like, I'm thrilled that you guys are getting paid what you deserve to be paid. My issue is that now let's extend that to everybody.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do, or all that would have to be done if if negotiations continued to drag out and we looked like we weren't making any progress, and maybe the company wasn't playing ball or whatever, should that happen, it's not going to be difficult. All you've got to do, like, as a media outlet, is to talk to like anybody else who works in the company, and you're going to learn real fast that the bigger picture looks a lot more than just like these these great examples that they like to hold out because it's in their best interest to hold them out. But there's a lot more going on under the surface, and let's just hope that we don't have to get there. Because not only that, but what we did for this country from 2020 to 2022, when they needed us, and I'm not saying that the country owes us, but certainly these are things that are all going to have to be taken into consideration in terms of like a public relations campaign, and what it's going to look like when you try and make us out to be greedy because we're trying to get a better deal. We aren't asking for a lot, Danny. What we're asking for is for air drivers to get overtime on 6 punches. What we're asking for is for part-time air drivers to actually get overtime after 5 hours, like all the other part-timers. Like, we're asking to be treated like everybody else. We're not asking for anything exceptional here. And absolutely, the group of people who are responsible for handling the company's most premium packages deserve to be treated at least as good as everybody else.
Ground is 80% of our business, but only 20% of our profits. And
right.
The system is like 20% of our business, but 80% of our profits.
Yeah, we create an incredible amount of value.
Right. And so for you guys to have been lost in the shuffle all these years, a lot of part-timers are resentful. They think the contract surrounds the drivers only, and I don't blame them. As a driver, I can see their point. And it's important to me that the part-timers get their due this go around. And what's funny is, history repeating itself. As 25 years ago, UPS went on strike in 97. Well, what was the cause of that strike? It was the part-timers, right? In 97, we were fighting with the company about the fact that we used the slogan, "Part-time America doesn't work." Right? We fought for full-time wages. We fought for full-time jobs, opportunities. There are ways to create more full-time jobs and free up some people that still want to work part-time to fill the positions they claim they can't do. I mean, they just laid off a bunch of 22-4s in my area, and they got supervisors working in the building. It drives me crazy. I mean,
yeah, it's completely nonsensical.
It's insane. So, give me 2 most important issues that you would like to see resolved for Article 40.
Well, first of all, like I mentioned, the preamble, let these supplements and riders, at the very least, give them the opportunity to do better than what's presently in the master. Because let me tell you, brother, it wouldn't take much. The language that's in the master for air workers is so poor and outdated that it wouldn't take much at all for a step forward to be made, at least by the areas who are willing to take that up. Give them that chance. And then beyond that, it's tough to outline just one particular thing. So
the genie and the lamb, speed and greedy. You only get 2. What's your second one?
Yeah. My second one. Well, then you're putting me between the workers
all right.
at the airport, and the air drivers.
Genie's normally give 3, so I'll give you 3.
How about this? The one is so important that I'm just gonna stick with the one. Please get rid of the preamble.
Yeah, at least that gives you guys a fighting chance on the local level.
Yes, please. That's that will constitute a massive step forward if they are able to do that, because then it will open up. It will subject the entire article to question. Then finally, and then it could get chipped away.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been working really hard at the gates, handing out flyers, trying to keep the members informed. I started this show to help keep members informed. I also do TikToks. I visit strike lines. I go visit other union halls. I've been very active, trying to get the word out. What are a couple of things that you've been doing? I know obviously you've been organizing this thing, but what are some of the things that you're doing on a local level at your shop to help keep your members up to speed on this?
Well, fortunately, I mean, I'm really glad they came out with the app because, they have questions about like what that means and they come to me, but, by and large, it's been pretty straightforward. And so, not like last time where they had to come to me like, Matt, what's going on? What's going on? Like they know, they're in the know now. And that is, a very welcome development. So, I haven't had to do nearly as much as I would have expected, because I think a lot of the legwork that I've put in over the last, a few years is to try and to educate people to be able to sort of think and act for themselves. And so, fortunately, at least as far as the people that I work with, I don't have to hold their hand a lot anymore. And that's been a long-term project. And so, a lot of them are just ready to go. If they get a good contract, we'll vote it right in. And if we don't, then they know what to do. And that's very good. Beyond that, though, I guess if you don't mind, I'd like to share just a little bit about like my experience, like beyond like my immediate workplace and just how it's been with, like the national level stuff, like I won't lie, brother. I feel like the relationship between like our members, their locals, and the international, I won't say it's a problem, but there are problems because like after Hopper ran the last contract through, what was it that people said is that this outcome happened because the members didn't show out, right? And the whole point is that this stuff won't change unless people get involved. But the problem with that, like in my view, is that it's hard to do when it's not easy to, like for example, for me to contact other members like myself, because like as a steward at an air gateway, like I think it should be really easy for me to get in touch with other union members who are stewards at air gateways and who are just like me. And yet what I found through my organizing experience with this, with trying to reform this article, is that it's actually been extremely difficult because like you cold call these locals and you get these business agents who are just like, well, I'll run it across my boss, and I'll let you know. And then, you rarely hear back, or, you leave a message on, someone's machine, or you send them an email. And just because they're not in your local, they you just don't get a response a lot of the time. And don't get me wrong, like, I can understand a bit of skepticism because, like, they don't know me or what I'm about. But all you would have to do is pick up the phone, call the president of my local and ask if this Matt Cavagratti guy is good people. And Wes Charterchod would tell him, yeah, he's a solid guy. And that should be that. But it isn't, because I don't know that these locals are talking to each other. Or if they are, at least it's not enough. Like, each local seems to kind of want to do its own thing. And so, I certainly don't envy the Oz administration right now, man, because it's probably like herding cats. Each local wants to do its own thing. But when this happens, it's the members who suffer. So, that's been a challenge for me. And, it's getting better, but it's been a challenge, and we've got a lot of work to do there.
So I guess I want to close out with a thought that, and you touched on this a little bit. There's this perception that Oz is going to be able to fix every wrong in the Hoffa administration in one contract. And I like some of the things that you said when you were speaking about your project and your goals in that project. You were realistic in the fact that that not everything is going to be resolved in one contract. They're not just going to wake up and you're going to have every wrong fixed in one contract. But you set into motion a very important thing, and it's going to lead to changes. And it may not all happen in this contract. They can't undo 25 years of wrongs in one contract. So, like you said, if you could just get rid of that one preamble that's a huge step in the right direction. You've already elevated the talk about it. People are aware of Article 40. That, I mean, I knew it was there because there's Article 40, right? But I didn't know what was in it. It didn't affect me, and I had to claim ignorance, and it's not from any ill will. It's just, it's hard to learn every language in the contract, especially parts that don't affect you. So I commend you for your efforts of raising awareness. And, like I said earlier, in 97, it was surrounding part-timers and these types of issues. And I truly believe that a lot of the part-time and Article 40 issues will be addressed significantly. And a lot of the Article 40 stuff is, coming from your camp, and that's commendable. You unselfishly took on this challenge, and I'm sure it's eaten up a lot of man hours, and you have the awareness. I mean, we don't really deal with that much. We do have some air drivers, and I've heard them talk before about how, like, they don't get overtime on Saturdays when they come in for a 6th day and stuff. So I was aware of that kind of stuff, but the actual air hub stuff, I just had no idea. And I think people are well educated now. I think it's out there. I mean, clearly TDU printed an article on it, so people are talking about it. And clearly there's going to be a conversation at the table. And I truly hope that you guys get some resolutions and at least take a big step in the right direction. I think that the full-timers are fully behind the part-timers, which has not been the case in a while. So I think when we go on strike, I think a lot of it, I shouldn't say when we go on strike, if we go on strike, which I do believe is more likely than not likely, it's going to be over the part-time issues and Article 40 issues. Matt, I appreciate your time. You're a great Teamster, and you're a great advocate and an organizer. Being an advocate and an organizer is a thankless job in a lot of cases. So let me tell you that on behalf of the brothers and sisters of the Teamsters, we thank you for your effort and bringing awareness to this issue and, getting people talking about it. That's important. It's a huge thing. I commend you for that, and I wish you well in this contract and meeting some of your goals that you've set for yourself.
Well, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. And there's something that the principal officer of Boise, Idaho, said to me once that I relate to a lot. And he said, "I'm interested in representing those who are the least represented." And so that's all that I've been trying to do here. I've been very grateful to have been in a position to have any impact at all. And at the same time, I'm right there with you guys. I voted down the 2018 contract, and what do I want? Overhaul Article 40 and get rid of Article 22.4. Those are my big two. So I'm right there with you guys. It's all bound up in the same, man. We sink or swim together, and we absolutely have to address the stuff that is a drag on everything else for us all to take a sustainable step forward. So let's hope for the best. And we don't have, and I guess I'll leave you with this. I was never under any illusion that that everything was going to get fixed this time. And you know what? That's fine. Not everything has to get fixed this time. We only have to fix enough to re-inspire the membership.
Absolutely. And even though Article 40 affects a small portion of our members, the line, an injury to one is an injury to all. And, the fact that you guys are being wrongly treated should offend everybody. And I think that you're going to get the support you need. And I think we're going to come out on the plus side of this. So again, Matt, I appreciate your time. Brothers and sisters, this has been another episode of the Biweekly Grievance. Thank you, Matt, for your time, and stay strong. And I appreciate your activism.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. Stay in touch.
Hey, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed that information about Article 40. He did a great job explaining it. The interview was actually much longer. I had to cut it down for time purposes. I will post the entire interview in a separate video, unedited, for your viewing if you'd like. in that portion that I had to cut out, he talked about how he organized from his own local to the national level to get, I think he said 50 locals in 25 states to submit the changes for Article 40. So good information. Come back and watch the full video when you get a chance. Also, today, June 7th, is a national conference call with the national negotiation team led by Sean and Fred. That'll be at 8 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard, 5 p.m. Pacific, and in between, depending on your time zone. There will be a strike vote authorization done over the next 10 days, wrapping up by the 16th of the month. So I'm sure on the conference call tonight, they'll discuss that. It will be an in-person voting, coordinated by your local. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to your local or your business agent or Stuart for more information. Also, I'm going to be trying to do something fun that I'm calling an action map. I will put out a separate video on this, but what I'm looking for is pictures from members all over the country in different states, a picture of an action at your local, whether it be a parking lot meeting, a rally, a leafleting, whatever it is, and either email me where you are so I can have that, or maybe hold up a picture or a sign in it that says where you are. I'll explain more in my video, but I really need some help with that. I think it would be kind of cool. Also, my weekly reminder, if you haven't downloaded the Teamster UPS app, you need to do that. Refresh it in the bottom right-hand corner with the circle and the arrow every time you open it to get the latest information. Important you guys do that, because that'll get you daily information in between shows that might be helpful and time critical. I'm also going to put a link in the bio to a video. Our friend Teddy Ostro from the Upsurge was in a video made by the More Perfect Union. It was a great little video of the possibility of a strike and nails everything up in a quick 7-minute video. So I put the link for that in the bio, so check that out. Local 404, just some quick information. We have a special contract update meeting this Sunday, June 11th at 9 a.m. at the Hall, 115 Progress Ave in Springfield. Don't miss that. Very important information. Also, in July, we have the Saratoga race bus trip. Seats are limited, so call the Hall and book your seat sooner than later. The annual scholarship tournament will be the following weekend on July 22nd at Southampton Country Club. $100 a golfer, and that includes lunch and dinner. Also, the annual family picnic, which will be at the Ludlow Fishing Game on August 12th. Again, for more information on that stuff, contact the Hall. The Article 40 article that we spoke of in the interview by TDU, I'm going to put a link in the description for that so you can watch that. Our friend Jess from a previous episode is trying to help with a movement of what they call Red Shirt Fridays. Any non-uniformed employee that works in the facilities across the country, part-time, full-time, whatever. We're asking on Fridays if you would wear a red shirt to work. It's a sign of solidarity for the part-timers and their fight to get their due in this contract. And then the video is going to be wrapped up with our friend Debbie Gesualdo from the teacher strike episode. She's going to explain Weingarten rights to us. Brothers and sisters, I appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by the Biweekly Grievance. We'll see you next week. Solidarity forever, brothers and sisters.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. If you don't know me, my name is Deb. I'm a music educator and president of my local union, the Malden Education Association. Let's take a minute to talk about Weingarten rights. So what are Weingarten rights? Weingarten rights were established in 1975 in a Supreme Court case, the National Labor Relations Board versus Weingarten. The decision in this case established the fact that employees don't have to be alone with their employer if they are being questioned in a meeting that could potentially lead to their discipline. If you as an employee have the reasonable belief that the way you answer your employer's questions could potentially lead to your discipline, you have the right to union representation in that meeting. Here's a few scenarios in which your Weingarten rights could potentially come into play. You're in a meeting with your employer and they haven't yet made a decision whether they're going to impose any disciplinary action, or they're looking for information to support enacting disciplinary action. In that situation, you're entitled to union representation. To union representation, if you've been called to an investigatory meeting or investigatory interview in which your employer is questioning your conduct and trying to get information or your side of the story about allegations related to your conduct in the workplace, you in that situation are entitled to union representation. If your employer, supervisor, or manager has asked for written statements or responses to questions about a situation in which your own conduct is called into question, you are entitled to union representation. If you as an employee have the reasonable belief that your answers to your employer's questions could result in disciplinary action, you have the right to union representation. Always ask what the nature of a meeting is. If your employer, supervisor, or manager will not tell you, that is, as the kids would say, sus.